We are in a constant battlefield of distractions. Videos, TV, music, podcasts, and endless notifications. As a result, it is killing our ability to focus and be productive. Studies show we check our phones or social media about 96 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes. So there is no surprise that we feel unproductive. But who is really to blame? It's easy to point fingers at technology, but the real problem runs deeper. It is our lack of a solid productivity system and work ethic. And if we want to change this, we need a system to fight back against distractions and reclaim our focus. So that's what we are going to do today. I'm going to share an evidence-based 4-step productivity framework that will guaranteed change the way how you approach time management. First step is doing what I like to call brain dumping, by using specific tools that will help you implement this in your daily life. You see, our brains aren't designed to be storage devices. They are meant for processing information, not holding onto every little task and idea. That's why the first step in our productivity framework is to get everything out of your head and into a trusted system. This technique helps you to free your mind, gain clarity, and have an overview at any given time. Now here's where it gets interesting. When you start doing this, you should be left with a big unorganized list. Now you could go ahead and start right away and tick each task one by one. But as a general rule of thumb, not all tasks or ideas have the same importance. In fact, a concept that has been around for decades suggests only 20% of our efforts produce 80% of our results. This is the so-called Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. Now the question you have to ask is, how can you brain dump and seamlessly integrate the use of the 80-20 rule without wasting too much time and energy on it? Well, tools like Things3 or Todoist for non-Apple users offer features that align perfectly with the Pareto principle. It's like having a productivity assistant guiding you towards your most impactful work. Got an inbox for capturing all those random thoughts and tasks at any given time from any given device. It is as simple as using a widget on your phone or a shortcut on your laptop. Can create deadlines or organize tasks into the today/this evening view for immediate priorities or someday for future projects. But here's the real game changer. The ability to organize tasks into projects and areas in a very intuitive way. I use an area for personal stuff, my business, and YouTube. This structure helps you to see the big picture and focus on what really matters. Now, studies have shown that organized task lists lead to reduced anxiety and increased motivation. Now, brain dumping as a standalone is not what makes you magically productive overnight, and this technique basically becomes useless if not used in conjunction with the next steps. Have you ever felt that you don't have enough time in one single day? It's actually all about how we perceive and manage our time. And this next technique might seem counterintuitive at first, but personally, I find it changes the way how I approach every single day. I'm talking about time blocking. Think of it as having a bird's eye view of your entire day where every hour is accounted for and optimized. The concept is simple. Allocate specific time slots for different tasks, creating a visual roadmap of your day. By doing this, you are actually tricking your brain into working more efficiently. Or are you actually really? Studies show that effective time management techniques like time blocking can increase your focus work time by up to 40%. You see, there is this sneaky little phenomenon called Parkinson's law. It states that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. In other words, if you give yourself all day to write that report, guess what? It's going to take all day. But if you block out just 2 hours for it, you will be amazed how quickly you can get it done. So let's design your day together using Google Calendar. Start by creating distinct color-coded blocks for different activities. Work, free time, exercise, meals, and yes, even sleep. This visual representation gives you instant clarity how you are really spending your time. Now let me show you how I personally set this up. I start by blocking out my non-negotiables. Sleep in a dark gray, meals in yellow, and exercise in orange. Then I add my work blocks in light gray, personal free time in blue, and I even schedule in buffer time. For each group, you can actually create a separate calendar in case you want to sometimes hide them later to have a more cleaner look. The key here is to actually be realistic, but also ambitious. And once you have your structure, go back to the list, and now we are going to leverage the tool's tagging system to assign time estimates to each task. This will help you to slot tasks into appropriate time blocks, ensuring you are always tackling your most important work during your peak productivity hours, which for me is actually in the morning. The beauty of this system is that it will help you spend your time consciously. No more wondering where the day went or feeling like you are always behind. You're in control and making deliberate choices about how you use every single hour. Great, now we have the plan in place, but the real challenge begins actually when you sit down to work. In our hyper-connected world, we are easily distracted, and achieving deep focus work has become a rare superpower. But what if I told you that with a simple technique and a very few tools to remove all distractions, you could completely change your productivity? So first things first, let's talk about how to use the Pomodoro technique. It's a simple yet powerful method that involves working in focused 25-minute intervals, followed by short breaks. Studies have shown that this approach significantly enhances your ability to concentrate and reduce mental fatigue. So let's put this into action. Remember those work blocks that we created in our Google Calendar? It's actually time to breathe life into them. Go back to your calendar and edit the names of those blocks at the number of Pomodoros you plan to complete in each session. Then create the same amount of Google tasks in green. For example, a 4-hour work block equals 8 Pomodoros of 25 minutes with 5-minute breaks, for which you can add 8 Google tasks. In the evening the day before or every morning, you input the tasks into the predefined work blocks. Since you roughly estimated the time of each task, you will also start to understand how many of those you can realistically fill into each work block or Pomodoro session. Now let's tackle distractions, starting with your phone. That little device is probably the biggest threat to your focus. And the solution is very simple. Put it in another room or use an app like Opal to block distracting apps during your work sessions. When it's time to start a work block, kick it off with a Pomodoro timer app. You can use Flow, that's what I personally use, but if you are not an Apple user, you can use Freedom. These apps not only time your sessions, but also block distracting websites and apps on your computer. And there is more. Instead of listening to your favorite Spotify playlist, try using something like Brain FM. This tool uses specifically designed audio to enhance focus and concentration. It works using specific sound waves that help you enter a state of deep focus. And no, this is not a random Google recommendation. I use it every day and I really recommend it. But here's the catch. It's not just about using these techniques once or twice. The real magic happens when you make them a consistent part of your daily routine. And that's why in our next step, we're going to tackle the ultimate challenge: how to maintain this level of productivity over the long haul. Now, we all heard about the hustle culture, the idea that working longer and harder is the key to success. But here's the thing, our brains aren't designed for non-stop work. In fact, pushing ourselves to the limit can actually harm our productivity in the long run. Believe me when I say this, I'm actually the guy that can power through the whole day, sitting in front of my desk and even forget to eat. But I can tell you from experience, this will just make you inconsistent over the long term compared to the guy that actually works less hours in a day, but is extremely consistent over 6 months or even years. Think about it this way, your brain is just like a muscle. Just as your biceps needs rest between sets at the gym, your mind needs breaks to perform at its best. One effective way to do this is by using the 4x25/5-minute break model that we talked about earlier. After 4 of these cycles, you take a longer 15 to 30-minute break, and this approach actually aligns with our natural ultradian rhythms. Another option is the 50-minute work/10-minute break model. The key is to find a rhythm that works for you and to stick to it consistently. Now here's how that looks in real life. I make my coffee and roughly before 9 AM I switch on not disturbing mode on all my devices, and I have automatically recurring Opal sessions on my phone to block all the distracting apps. I have obviously some time where these things are off so that I'm also able to use my phone. Now, capturing tasks or ideas in my things inbox is a reoccurring thing that happens randomly throughout the day. But either in the evening or first thing in the morning, I pull up Google Calendar and things next to each other. I go through my tasks, do some organization if needed, and I start putting them into the respective work blocks. Then when I'm about to start a work session, I open the Flow app on my Mac and I set the timer to 25 minutes, the break duration to 5 minutes, and I simultaneously start Brain FM. This is what works best for me, and I place my work sessions, gym, free time, etc. in a way that gives me enough breaks throughout the day. When the screen goes full green with the break, I blast some music through my speakers and sometimes sit on the couch. Now I switch between standing and sitting using my desk after certain Pomodoro sessions. Each one is ticked off in my calendar, and by the end of the day or week, I'm clearly able to see how I performed in general by just taking a quick glance at all the ticked off tasks and the ones that obviously were left unticked. Now, as the day progresses, you will notice that the cumulative effects of the system start to snowball. Each completed task, each focused work session builds momentum. It's not about just getting more done, it's about feeling in control, reducing stress, and actually enjoying the work process. And by the end of the day, you will probably accomplish more than most people do in a week. So try it out and let the results speak for themselves. Thanks for watching.